What if the biggest thing sabotaging your success isn't your skill, but your nervous system? In high pressure environments, whether it's Wall Street, leadership, entrepreneurship, or life, most people are taught strategy, tactics, execution, but nobody teaches emotional regulation under pressure. Today's guest says your greatest edge isn't louder confidence, bigger results, or big hustle or even more talent. He actually says it's clarity under chaos. Evan Marks is a Wall Street veteran turned elite mental performance coach who has spent more than 20 years helping traders, executives, athletes, and high stakes professionals master pressure, regulate emotion, and make better decisions when everything is on the line. This conversation is going to challenge how you think about performance, burnout, emotional discipline, and what truly separates elite operators from everyone else.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alisa Whyte as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Mindset Master Moments. I am Dr. Alisa Whyte, and today we are talking about the quiet edge. Meet my guest, Evan Marks, the founder of M1 Performance Group and a mental performance coach specializing in trading psychology and elite decision-making. Evan spent over 25 years on Wall Street coaching traders, hedge fund managers, and institutional investors on how to master emotional control, risk management, and high-speed decisions that need to be made under pressure. He's also a former senior consultant at the Rethink Group and a University of Pennsylvania graduate. Evan combines neuroscience, psychology, psychoanalysis, practical performance coaching to help high achievers rewire mental patterns and execute with clarity and confidence. His upcoming book, The Quiet Edge, explores why composure, emotional mastery, and mental regulation creates advantage over the baseline talent. Evan, we're so excited to have this conversation. You and I have been cutting up in the back, and let me tell you, I am ready. Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, thanks. That was an incredible introduction. I'd love to do that again. That was great. You know, it's interesting. I'm 54 years old.
Wow.
And I started my career on Wall Street. I didn't even know what Wall Street was. My identical twin brother got me into it. And all we knew was it was competitive and people made a lot of money. And I spent almost 25 years doing it. And it was one of the most challenging, competitive environments that you can imagine.
Yes.
And the funny thing was, I hated every moment of it. It was one of these things where I was good. Not every year was a Picasso. You know, like any sort of career, especially on Wall Street, nothing's linear. I don't think anything's linear. And it was at a point where I always wanted to be a coach and a teacher. But you go to an Ivy League school and they're just producing, all these Wall Street people. I'm like, I might as well do it also. And I stayed in the same game for 25 years. Had some incredible people along the way. But I remember 10 years into the end of my career, when I retired at 46. When I was 36, I looked at my wife and I go, I think I'm committing spiritual suicide. She's like, excuse me? She goes, what does that mean? I go, I shouldn't be doing this. She's like, what do you think you should be doing? I said, I don't know yet, but not this. And it took me 10 years, and I've told this story before. I thought I had a heart attack when I was 46. And it was that opportunity where a doctor had to say, you're pretty much done, pal, that I pivoted at 46 years old. Wow. And it was the greatest decision I ever made. Scary. I had two young daughters at the time, bought a house like a year before that. I'm like, this may not be the greatest move ever. But but I did it. Yeah, and you learn so much. So the thing that fascinates me about Wall Street or anybody in high pressure decision making roles, why do they do what they do? Not only why are people successful, but why do people keep failing? And why do people keep succeeding? What is their real mental makeup? And for me, I had some wonderful coaches. And it wasn't, at that time, it was popular to say, get bigger, do more work, and have no emotions. I followed all those rules and I was more depressed than ever. And my performance wasn't where it had to be. I'm like, there's got to be something else going on that I'm not aware of. I grew up, with a single mother, 3 brothers. I have an identical twin. I have an older brother that's handicapped. My dad was a homeless crackhead. But I thought that was normal for some reason because my unconscious blocked everything from me. And so and then I was a lacrosse guy in college, blew up my knees twice. That ended my career. I thought, it's all right. But this was just like these little trauma triggers were happening. I wasn't aware of them until they started to show up, like you said in the beginning in your intro, that's what sabotage is. And I saw everybody around me doing it also. So obviously they didn't live my experience, these people I knew, but why were they doing such destructive behavior, some people? And why were other people able to continue and be successful? I was so intrigued. And I had this moment to come back in a second life and actually go back to school at 46 for psychoanalytical theory and neuroscience. I was always enamored by people in the brain because I couldn't figure out why I kept, going into a wall. I go, well, if I'm doing it, there's a lot of other people doing it. And that reshaped the second half of my life, which is now coaching. I started my career coaching race car drivers. I coach global CEOs. I coach obviously a lot of hedge fund and private equity and family office and stuff like that. And doing like keynote speeches now on this stuff. I'm having the time of my life. But it's interesting, Alisa? But I think people can really relate to this, and maybe you can also. In the beginning, I was motivated by money. Money.
Right.
But there was a transition where my motivation is now all impact. And by the way, being motivated by impact doesn't hurt the top line either.
No,
but now it's in service of others.
Yes.
Is one of the most fulfilling things ever. When you see people succeed, not just dollar signs, but almost this moment of clarity of they know where they want to be. They know life's not linear, but they know how to behave in the face of any emotion.
Right. And that is the master. I call that mastery in the back end. I haven't spoken about it out loud, but that's mastery. And if you notice, we use the word, it's mindset mastery moments, it's mindset mastery 360, it's mindset mastery, it's just mindset mastery. Our mastery in the middle there too. First of all, congratulations. And why do I offer congratulations? Not only because you went to these really great colleges and you did study. The biggest congratulations I have for you, Evan, is to say, when you said, I'm committing spiritual suicide out loud, that took a whole lot of nerve. Number one, when you're successful on paper for what everyone else is looking at. You're doing great, man. You're rocking it. But you knew and you were able to say it out loud. And then we're so grateful to your wife who says, what do you want to do? Because not everybody has a partner that says, are you crazy? What are you thinking? We have a great life. Look at what you built. Look what you created, right? So, and then you took action.
Well, can I be honest with you? I almost had a heart attack. That kind of knocked me out. So I'd like to say I had courage, but I didn't. Yeah. But I woke up. I wish when I was 36 and I said that line, I'm like, all right, I'm giving it all up. I didn't follow through. That's the point.
Not easy.
10 years, not easy.
Yes.
But
10 years later.
Crossing the road. Yeah. But what's interesting about that though, and people I talk a lot about emotions. And, you hear fear of judgment, fear of embarrassment, fear of rejection, fear of failure. The one emotion trumps them all. And that emotion is regret.
Regret. Come on.
Right. And it's
the only regret, the only emotion I fear.
But you know what? So let's go with this. Yeah. So when we think about regret, it's not what I did. It's what I didn't do. So when people I fear regret. I said, well, how about this one? You should fear regret. However, if I told you regret could be your greatest internal motivator ever,
Mm-hmm.
they go, what do you mean? I go, it has massive intensity. So
Yes.
now you have a choice of how you want to use it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have that choice. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
does.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's repetition, repetition. So when you say mastery is not a conclusion.
No.
It's an
No.
so when people think about mastery,
They think, oh, I've
it's
arrived and I've
that's
done
it.
it.
It's not.
Yeah. It's
Mastery is
not.
actually a journey. Yeah. So when you think about the greatest meditators of all time, they're everything is a practice. It's
Yes. Life
training
is a
and training.
practice. Yes.
Yeah. And you keep getting better.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
mastery is. Yeah.
So I love that. And I love that you pointed out the 10 years in case anyone missed it. And I did not miss that when I said, congratulations. Here's why. There's someone listening to us, Evan, that is, they feel like they're in disconnect with what they do and who they are for whatever reason, in terms of specifically work and career. I believe that a job is bigger than a paycheck. It's no matter how you do it. And if you just do it for a paycheck, it's because you spend so much time doing it. It is basically, I say, it should represent the very core of who you are and the legacy you're trying to build and leave behind, whether it's for your community, for yourself, whatever. But whatever you're going to do is that's taking up most of your time. So it should be something not that you absolutely love. I'm not going to paint that word over there, but
Mhm.
something that resonates with you in harmony of yourself. So I hope you all heard that sometimes it does take 10 years to align with it. And sometimes it takes 20 years to be in the space where you're like, finally, I'm in a space doing what I want to do with who I want to do it, how I want to do it. However, this still seems hard and sometimes feel like I don't want to do it as well. Can you talk to us about what the difference is of how it feels when you're misaligned and how it feels when you're aligned? And what did you do with all that energy and how is it working out for you?
Well, I want to go back to something I'd like to talk about. It's called reality. Right? I don't
Mm,
live in the positive psychology camp. And there's many people out there who may not like their job, but they have a responsibility to their family.
come on.
Right? And oh, I'd love to quit my job. However, I have 3 mouths to feed. I have a mortgage to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear that. And I don't even dismiss it because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting when you hear stories like that, but then you hear the other story. There's somebody very similar in that same situation. I'm not a big side hustle guy, but whatever it may be, you start to do something on the side
Yeah.
because a
I
lot
don't,
of people have
it's
done it.
nothing side hustle about what I do on the side. It's my main
Right.
hustle.
Exactly. So when we think we don't have choices anymore, like this is what I do, this is what I chose, this is it, and I hate what I do. All right, that's very true. Wait a second. Let's take a step back. Okay, I hear you. I see you.
Mm-hmm.
We have 24 hours in the day.
Mm-hmm.
How do we organize our day? I know we're working 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Start asking yourself self-exploratory questions. And what is that?
Questions.
When we
Mm-hmm.
ask ourselves questions, personal questions, we become more conscious of what we want to do. Because the person asking questions always is in the seat of influence. An interview, somebody hosting is in the seat of influence. But when we ask
Mm-hmm.
self-exploratory questions, it puts us in our own seat of influence. So now if you're caught in this grind, which I hate that word, but if you're in this 9 to 5, you don't like it, but you feel stuck. Obviously, I'm not saying make a Herculean change and be irresponsible because I think that brings a lot of stress. But start to ask yourself questions. What would a question be? What would it look like if I did this? What would my behavior need to be if I wanted to do something like this?
Mm,
Start to, and by the way, you know what the greatest thing about this is? You don't have to answer it. Once you, and you can't think, you got to verbalize it because once you
yes.
start saying it, it starts to stimulate your unconscious
Mm-hmm.
and then it starts to process it. But at least give yourself the opportunity to explore.
Yes.
So can I add something to it? So you're doing something you don't like and you feel you're stuck. So how do we create behavioral change? So
Mhm.
everybody thinks it has to be Herculean. I got to
Mm.
go run a marathon to prove myself. I got to go, I don't know, climb Everest. You can go wake up early and take a 15-minute walk, something you haven't done before. So now you start to believe that you're able to do something when you say you want to do it. You start
Yes.
to build an incredible world called trust.
Mhm.
Small. So now when you're in this 9 to 5 stuck job, but now you're building evidence that you can trust yourself. And this all starts. So I'm not a big motivational person, even though I'm a New Yorker with a big voice and who's very passionate. I love momentum.
Yes.
I am a momentum guy
Yes.
because once you start stacking days, weeks, and months, give me a
Proof.
call. Give me a
Yes.
call. We're
Yes.
evidence based now, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this little change. I don't like my job. I'm going to do ABC. Wait a second.
What
First
are
of all,
you
I
doing?
didn't. Wait
Right.
a second. It's
Yeah.
fascinating, isn't it?
Say, show me the money, show me the money. And I say, show me the money, which is
Show me
show
the
me the
behavior.
proof. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's if you, like you said, you build this trust with yourself. Lena, I look at a lot of people that they just don't trust things. And then I ask a few questions, I guess I've been psychoanalyzing people my entire life. And I realized they don't trust themselves. And if you're in a relationship of any sort with anyone who does not trust themselves, good luck.
By the
Good
way, I
luck.
say that all the time. I would say, good luck. Call me later. But
Exactly.
the thing is, it doesn't have to be nuts.
Right.
If you make a promise, you say, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym.
Mhm.
And not 5 times a week, because that's a recipe for massive disaster.
Yes.
Once. Or how about this one?
Just go walk.
A walk. I have a client of mine, and he's a wonderful individual, and he's stuck. He's an incredible trader, and life got a hold of him. He's got kids, this, that. He's like, Ev, I don't have time. I go, well, that's not true. I said, your kids go to bed at 9, and you wake up at 6:30. I said, what happens if you wake up at 5:30? Oh, I can do
Just
that.
half hour.
And how about just go for a walk? Or how about this one?
Mhm.
Go downstairs and stretch.
That's it.
He's like, well, I said, I think I'll go 10 minutes. I'm like, 10 minutes? All of a sudden he started doing that. And now obviously the weather's getting nice in the Northeast. Now he's outside. Now it's 10, it's 20 minutes. And now what
Right.
happens? He's like, yeah, if I joined the gym, I go, get out of here. Meanwhile, he came to me for trading,
Right.
but I knew it wasn't
But
about trading. It was about something else. And we can get
yes.
into this. They always think it's about the leaf on the tree. It's never about the leaf. It's about the roots. But he wasn't ready to see it that way. So you start to create change and then you start to really explore.
Right.
He
And
took a
then
walk
change becomes you and you become change. You
and
are the
now
change.
and you start to trust yourself because
Yes.
now you're building. All he did was
Yes.
take a walk. All this one guy went to bed early. He didn't have to build a spaceship to go back in time and redo everything. But then but then what happens is you start to explore. Why do I do the things I do? And sometimes we're not
Yes.
ready to go back to because it's scary. And there's something called resistance, where the unconscious is locking you out to protect you. But as you
Mhm.
start to change behavior, because we know the unconscious doesn't know time. It starts to
Right.
reveal itself.
Yes.
It's such my goal always is for the people I work with is that they become students of themselves, which is such a wonderful thing.
Free. One of my
Self-discovery.
one of my favorite
Yeah.
words.
But it's true
So
though. It's a wonderful experience.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. In Aristotle, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. I might be paraphrasing. Oh, you guys, believe it or not, that was just our opening remarks. So after 20 years on Wall Street, right? And you determined, Evan, that the real game wasn't just strategy. It's really psychology, right? You say that most traders are never taught emotional training. You just told us about one of your people, your clients you work with. Why do you think that gap exists?
It's a very good question. Well, obviously at that time, Wall Street's very male dominated at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth.
Yeah.
And there's some incredible women who work on Wall Street. So I'm not even going there. Right. I'm
Yeah, but
raised
it's
by a
dominated by
single
male,
mom,
period.
dominated. And
Yeah.
men are taught not to have emotions.
Yes.
Not have them. How about asking for help? No way. No
Kidding me.
way. And I think in the last 10 years, we know we know what material wealth is, right? The cars, the houses, all the material stuff. There's been such a big holistic wealth movement happening now. Maybe it was because of COVID, maybe Simone Biles, maybe Michael Phelps. All these people started talking about mental health.
Yes. I'm
And
so
so there's so
appreciative.
much great work done by Stanford and Harvard and Penn about emotions. And now you got some incredible people out there. But one thing we know is that you cannot make a decision without an emotion.
That's right.
You can't.
There's always
However,
an emotion in
we
there.
know now that emotions are just data points.
Mm,
Emotions don't have to get on the field because when they do, that's called what? That's called reacting.
reactive.
Yeah. So we know now that you're allowed to have any emotion you'd like,
Yes.
permission to feel. And you also have the ability through creating mental space to consciously choose your own behavior, not from the past, not future tripping into the future. You actually have that choice. And we also know is that when you have an emotion, create space, choose conscious behavior, and through repetition starts to build a new experience in the brain, all documented. And that starts to
Neuroplasticity.
build neuroplasticity, which is circuitry in your brain. And by the way,
Yes.
at any age.
And please say it for the people at any age.
Any age.
So over here in Evan's camp, very well in Alisa's camp, you're never going to be able to say, that's who I am. We are not buying it.
No way. You know what? It's one of the things and I heard this line, you don't have to be perfect to be great. Like we
Come on.
all you don't. The only time you're perfect is when you're 6 feet under.
Come on
Like
now.
you're perfectly
Perfect
dead.
rest, perfect peace. At least that's how it appears to be.
It's really, this is such a good conversation.
It
It's
is.
really the art of curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, what is possible?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean the limits? I'm a 54-year-old did a TEDx. I think I failed English in high school. But I was a math guy. But why not?
Exactly.
Why not me? And now it takes behavioral change in the face of any emotion. But what happens
Exactly.
now, these emotions become allies because we
Mm-hmm.
know what we want. We know how to behave with them. And now all of a sudden behavior starts to change. And the most interesting thing is time becomes an ally. What does that mean? Well, when you start to be intentional with behavioral change, days, weeks, and months stack. And before you know it, you look back and you're like, how did I do this? And by the way, the opposite is also true. Time becomes a foe when we believe we can't change because we believe we have to do something monumental in order to do it. And we know the brain is here to protect us. It's survival based. But through this small, subtle changes, we start to move the pendulum towards thriving. Not all the way because the brain is instinctually survival mechanism to protect us. But simply even knowing that is huge. Knowing the science behind that, to know that actually, there's so much great science out there now. You have no idea what you're capable of doing. If I made you 3% more conscious, 3%, it changes everything. Not 5, 3.
3.
Changes
Interesting
everything.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what actually happens to the brain when we're under extreme pressure? And why do brilliant people sometimes just make terrible decisions when they're under pressure or under stress?
We go back to familiar patterns that
Mm.
feel safe, even though they don't, as a child, right? So I was trained, in modern psychoanalysis.
Mm-hmm.
We're programmed a certain way, right? And it's usually from our caregivers. But the brain is wired for survival. Just period, the end. So certain emotions come up and we revert to past behavior, right? And that's where anxiety comes from, right? So the brain is a leveraging mechanism. It's always predicting. But it predicts into the future from things we did from the past, right? So all of a sudden, we, for some reason, revert to behaviors that might have served us when we were 5 to 10. or 12, I'm just throwing out an age, that no longer serves us anymore. But
Right.
why do we keep reverting back? Because it's familiar. The brain knows it. It's safe. So now, how do you start to build new behaviors? It's almost the brain's going to pull you back, right? That's called resistance, right? There's going to be a little resistance, a little friction. And you
Uh,
can feel that. Anybody can feel it when they're starting to change. It's like, oh, I could do this over here. It's much easier. That really is the bridge of change. So for people out there, when you feel that tension, that friction, take a breath and a pause. Say, ooh,
mm,
something is going on here.
mm-hmm.
Something is going on because the brain is meant to protect you,
Yes.
not
Yes.
serve you. Very different. But now we know through behavioral change, the brain is a phenomenal mechanism. We
It
can
is.
actually change it.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just, this is not fluff. It's science. It's
It's
real,
science. It's proven. I
right?
am
And
living
it's,
proof of it.
yeah, visualization, right? We know the mental imagery in the brain, it's in darkness. The reality is your perception of what's happening. We could think about things and have this mental rehearsal, and it does program the brain. And in fact, I thought manifestation was really foo-foo. I am, blah, 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 blah. But now there's science has got to back everything for me. But now it's science back. Actually, there's brain imagery
Hmm.
because we know our thoughts affect our behavior.
Yes.
It's interesting. If I could share a story. So I always wanted to be able to feel my emotions and downregulate. So this may sound really nuts. So when I was a trainer, I want to get really good at it. And I don't like scary movies at all. I like just laughing a lot. I don't know why people want to be scared. It doesn't get
I
me.
don't have a clue. It's
So
weird.
I would sit
But
there and watch
anyway,
a scary movie, put myself in a position where I'm going to be scared. And bear in mind, I'm just watching a film. This is not happening to me, but my
right.
brain feels threatened. It's just the craziest thing. I would sit
Right.
there and deep breathe, deep breathe. And people are like, what is he doing? He's like, he watches scary movies so he learns how to downregulate. They thought it was the craziest thing, but I wanted to see because I get frightened. If I'm
Yeah.
frightened, how fast can I get back to the state?
That's crazy. That's what I did with roller coasters. I
Yeah,
did the
same
exact
thing.
with roller coasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
And I'm
scares you the
only at
most
the
and
point
how
where I
fast?
can be on a roller coaster, enjoy the ride, but I still don't have my eyes open. So I did Ohio. I forgot what their biggest roller coaster park where I think it's way more exciting roller coasters than Disney and all the things put together. But my next thing is I'm going back this summer to Ohio and I got to ride with my eyes open. But I was able to regulate quicker this time when I did so many more rides. So and it's been a process of putting myself in a space where even doctors said I should never ever be in. Like when I injured my brain, the doctors gave to me like I would say an alive death sentence. Like I wouldn't be able to do this, wouldn't be able to do that, wouldn't be able to finish school. I've done everything that they said I wouldn't be able to do, include being on a roller coaster at this point.
Wait, time out. What happened?
So when I was 14 years old, I suffered a head injury and it damaged tissues around my brain. They they back then at least, they didn't have a full diagnosis. They were also going after the fact that I wasn't able to remember almost anything in my life up until that point. I had to relearn talking, walking, eating, and all the different things. And I was out of school for almost 2 years. But when they did allow me to go to school, is because I kept asking and they said for socialization and mental health. So she won't be required for classes and all that. So I wasn't supposed to finish high school. I had to have someone with me all the time. Even drinking a cup of water wasn't safe because I would have these silent seizures that can cause me to literally drown myself with a sip of water or something. So it was a whole situation where even doctors from the US came back. I told you I was from Guyana, South America, to look after me because my family actually hired them. But up until that point, that's all they had. They would do these scans. They couldn't operate surgically on it. I did therapy and different things to be able to help me function. But I had that prognosis of we don't know if she'll ever fully recover and to what extent her full recovery might look like when she's quote unquote in a normal space. So it was always me being, and that's why I'm so obsessed with mind science, neuroplasticity, and all the things, because I had lived it prior to learning it. I was living it. And I used to read as a later teen.
You are the case study.
Right. I was reading psychology books. For most people were reading romance novels, whatever, cartoons and all that stuff. I was reading psychology books, and I knew what autism was before it was a thing. I knew about all these different illnesses and mental things, dementia, and all that. I was deep in it before it was talked about. So when Oprah and all of them are on TV now talking about this, I'm telling my mom, that's what I was telling you about. And I was actually diagnosing kids in my mom's preschool with autism. But this is why I'm so obsessed with this work. And I put all the time into the podcast, and more we're talking about it, because everything here is science-based. This is not made up, wishy-washy. And I don't have any guests who comes on and talk about positive psychology, not because it's not, there's a space for it, but it doesn't bring the full transformation. You can
Yeah.
and you will. My life was, I didn't know what I was doing, but at 17, I'm like, I'm going to do the exams. I'm finishing high school. I finished high school 1 year before I finished high school. Because, and this is where we're going to go, pressure's a privilege, right, Evan?
It's
Because I was under
responsibility.
pressure not to do it, I was like, okay, so I'm going to do it without you guys' permission. And my mom supported me, and I did it. When I finished a math exam, because we have to write these major
This is so
exams.
inspiring, by the way. Wow.
They call CXC, Caribbean Examination Council. It's a standardized examination in the Caribbean that you write to. That's how you finish high school. You don't finish, like, it's all the stuff you do during, and then this big exam that's graded, and then you have national placement, international placement in the Caribbean. And I wrote mine, and when I got out of the math exam, I did have a silent seizure that day, but I was with my mom, and I was like, she's like, okay, you should not do any more of this, because that's why they told me not to study, because pressuring the brain could cause me to clock out. They don't know how I'll come back when
like an overload.
Right, exactly. But I was like, okay, so that happened. I seemed fine. Went the next couple of days and did my English exam. And it took a few years for them I didn't have the silent seizures, but I was just going right out of that. I started my own literacy center. That was my first job. I couldn't find
You're
work, so I created
incredible.
my own business.
Hey, why
So
not?
I'm like,
Yeah.
the question is, what can I always say it's not, what can I not do then if I want to, I say. Not even I believe I can, but if I want to, if I truly want to, and I put myself into it. And so I did have to learn to look at someone's journey and say, that's their journey, and they're going to choose. So when people say, I don't have the time, I'm too old, I'm like, you're choosing. That's what you're choosing. And I want you, so I get into, try not to get in arguments with people. I want you to understand that's what you're choosing, and that's okay.
It's interesting. First of all, it is a pleasure to be on this podcast. That is
Thank you.
just such an absolutely beyond inspiring story. And it really is, it's really a showcase of how powerful people.
Yes, that's why I believe in humans, even though we can be crappy at times.
Amen. Amen, sister. But I always say intensity with kindness. But
Come on.
yeah, that's where that's the lane I want people to be in.
I
But
love
what a
it.
story. That is just, but you know what the interesting part is also is, and this is, life is not linear.
No,
So
not
it's
by
not
any
like,
means.
this is not the chase of happiness. I
Nope.
think there's such a fulfilling nature. I think it's a fulfilling nature to know that this game is not linear. There
Come
are
on.
peaks and valleys in life. But,
Yes.
you learn from struggle, but you learn from success also, as long as you don't stay attached to it. And
Come
you
on.
just enjoy the rhythm and the vibrations of this game.
Ooh,
Because
can
I
you
don't know what
sit over
happiness
there by
is.
you, as long as you don't get attached with, you got to come back there. Keep going, Evan.
But it's it's an emotion. Everything's emotion. So what is
Yes.
meaning? Like, why are we here? What are we
Why are
doing?
we here?
Right. I
Yes.
mean, now I can say now that I think it's the service of others.
Yes.
I think fulfillment is community, relationships, being with people you love. Isolation's the most dangerous thing ever. all these
Mm-hmm.
sort of things. So when we talk about mental, like I'm a mental performance coach,
Mm-hmm.
it's so important to me. Like I think work-life balance is bullshit. I think
Come
the
on.
best
We talk about it
sacrifice.
here all the time. Go there.
However, I think you can definitely create harmony.
They probably think you've been listening to the podcast. He's listened to maybe a few things just to see the flow, but he hasn't listened. They know we
No, I
talk
have,
about that
yeah,
is
it's
we
harmony.
say
Like
work
I
life
can create
balance
harmony.
is a myth and harmony. I
Do you?
strive for harmony. Yes. I do not create
Harmony.
balance. It's harmony with me. You might think this is crazy and this like regulated when you look at my life, but I am in harmony and that's what keeps me a flow state.
And you know what it is? I know I'm not in constant harmony sometimes, but I could acknowledge it, and then I just take a little step back. I relook at the mountain that I'm climbing. I'm like, you know what, Ev? Have a moment. I had one a couple weeks ago. As M1 is starting to grow and grow, and we do more speeches and we're bringing on more clients. And I'm massively overwhelmed. And people are like, well,
Yeah.
everything's going in the right direction. Ev, I go, that's the point. We forget to look under the hood sometimes. Just
Yeah.
because everything is going well doesn't mean you can't examine yourself. So when
Mhm.
we think about discipline, we're thinking about push-ups, sit-ups, don't eat this. Discipline is just self-care. Are you disciplined enough to take care of yourself? Under the hood, everybody thinks everything's going great. Then why am I feeling this way?
Mhm.
Let me look under the hood. Okay, there's a couple issues here. There's a couple cracks here.
Not getting
Let's
enough
tend to it,
sleep.
please.
Yeah.
By the way, that's usually the thing. But the question is, why am I not getting enough sleep? What is going on in your head? And then the
Yes.
next question is, this is what coaching, what does your evening routine look like?
Come
Like,
on.
how are we down regulated? Because you always hear about, I know this is a little flow into this. All we hear is morning routine, which is important. But
Yeah.
how are you going to bed?
The night before. That's how
Is
this
the
podcast is
most
here.
important. Yeah, that's
Yes.
the most important thing
Yes.
because
Yes.
it sets you up for the next day.
Come on.
Sleep is king. Is king.
Yes.
Without that, it's funny. I coach people in the left lane, right? If they live in London, it's the right lane. But we're gone. We're going. Like sometimes I ride these guys like and girls like Secretariat. Like, let's go. But we got to make sure you're healthy. Right? We got to make
Yes.
sure you know what emotional regulation is. We got to make sure you
Yes.
know what rest and recovery looks like. We got to make
Yes.
sure that we're taking on chronic stress. Down regulation is important. Where's your acute stress? Are we working out? Are we doing cold and hot exposure? Are we getting enough air into our lungs?
Mm.
Right? Because when we think about mental performance, there is a mind body element to it,
Come on.
right? It's true. And if I could share a story, so I was a college lacrosse player
Mm-hmm.
and I blew my knees out twice. And it was like mentally, it kind of, can I curse once? Fucked me up. Right.
Yes.
So it really messed up with my brain.
Yes.
I never dealt with it. And then I was in an accident, like I have a whole new shoulder put in. And in the last like year, I'm like, and I've had a lot of surgeries. I have a total shoulder replacement. I have to get my knees replaced.
Wow.
And I'm like, enough with surgeries, but I could feel, listen, the disconnect in my body.
Mm.
So I never had a trainer in my life. Shout out Charles, give him a little shout out. People are like, this guy's incredible. And I go, I don't want to go back to the hospital. And I literally started building my foundation again, physically, which all of a sudden started to clean me up mentally. Not that I was lost, but I knew something was off. I couldn't figure it out. So instead of thinking about what's going on in my brain, I'm like, let me get into my body for now. So I started to train my body, and all of a sudden, my brain started to relax. And all of a sudden, the chemistry started to come back again. So when I coach people in high stress, right, and we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about pressures of privilege in a sec, I'm
Yes.
like, we may not have the answer. Get into your body.
Mm.
Get into your body. Let your mind breathe for a while.
Mm.
And for me, it was one of the biggest things. And I'm 54, going back, like, I'm still figuring things
Things
out.
out. Yes.
I'm curious. Things are always changing. I'm willing to experiment and see what's going on. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I want you to break it down for us. Pressure is a privilege because I feel like the world needs to hear that. So many people feel down on their luck and why does this always happen to me? And why do I always meet the same guy? Why do I always have the same boss? Why are things just like I've been in a rough patch for the last 2 decades? What the actual you know what? Tell us about pressure is a privilege.
So when we say pressure is a privilege, and it comes from Billie Jean King, one of the
Mm,
greatest tennis players of all time.
mhm,
Pressure is a privilege means that people are looking at you to be responsible. Like they're looking at you to say, please take the ball. So when I
mm,
say pressure is a privilege, it means people are looking to you to lead. People are looking to say, like, you can do this. Now, tons of pressure, right, can be misconstrued as tons of stress, right? Pressure and stress,
mm,
two different worlds. So when we talk
mhm.
about pressure, like I want people in, I want people feeling pressure. That means we're really in a seat of influence. But too much pressure affects decision making. So
Mm,
it's almost like I could stretch you, but too much pressure may snap you. So then, if we know that is true, people in this world, how do I bring the pressure down enough that you're still uncomfortable, but we could still make best decisions?
right.
Right. So, but going to your example of people like, oh, I've been stuck this long. Are you putting undue pressure on yourself? And then it comes down to where's your routines? So you have expectations. Like it's too much pressure. I don't like the boss. You should be this. You should be that. First of all, you got to take a little inventory.
Mhm.
Is this stress I'm bringing on myself? Because pressure and stress are two different things.
That's important to understand.
Right? Two different things. So if you're feeling stressed, okay, what am I stressed about? So stress can come from like I was a Wall Street, chronic stress, dealing with uncertainty all day long. You don't know what's going to happen. You're trying to train yourself, make best judgment, best decisions, but you have to be comfortable with uncertainty and be very
Mhm.
confident in your behavior. Because all this external stimuli coming at you, you got to make best decisions. Then you got to deal with your own internal crap, right? That's very stressful. But now, as you get better and people want you to run more money, there's more pressure to do well. Why is there more pressure? Because now there's expectations of what you're
Patient.
possible, of, right? So now, as expectations rise, so does training. So as expectations go up, your training has to go up. Because
Yeah.
once expectations are, and you think you could still do the same stuff, when there's a gap between that, no bueno. That's not good.
Mhm.
So we got to
Mhm.
up our games on the training set. So when you talk about stress, everyday stress, I hate my boss. I hate my life. I'm stuck. Okay. We got like the beginning of this conversation. I'm very stressed about this. I'm not satisfied in my life.
Side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you. Right. And I understand. What are you going to do about it? I'm quitting my job. I'm selling. No, 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 no. No. Why don't we start to understand where the stress is coming from and start to create incremental change outside the arena? Going back to trust, right? So pressure is like you're in a role and you're getting better and you can feel the pressure, and that's pressure is a privilege. Like people expect things from you. So then mentally we got to up our game. We got to start training. When we talk
Mhm.
about stress, being in positions we don't want to be and quote unquote, woe is me, it's a horrible place, right? Because you said something earlier, it's so important. We all want to know that we have the power of choice. And when we
Yes.
feel we don't have choice, privilege, privilege, you could throw that out the window. It's
Yeah.
actually now, how do I change behavior? How do I
Right.
change my mindset that you may have been a victim of
Yeah.
something,
Yes.
but it's your choice to live in victimhood.
Please come on.
It's just
Say it.
true,
It is. It
right?
really is.
I
And
am
that's the
not
difference
minimizing
between
victims.
no, we're
Yeah.
not. But it's a
No.
choice. We can't tell you any other way. We'd be lying.
Now, is it an easy choice?
Absolutely not. You get up and choose daily sometimes for years, moment by moment, because there's that moment where you, after so many peaks, you're in that valley where you're like, I feel like it again. And you're like, okay, you feel that way again, But now I'm choosing to, even though I feel, and this is why you were talking about emotions versus choice, right? Let me just let Evan tell us. He is the expert here.
No, but I mean, you're but it's so true. So now we have choice, but it's interesting. As we've done well, now let's say we take a step back.
Yeah.
All right, well, life's not linear. All right,
Nope.
this sucks. Yeah, no shit. All right, let's have a moment. Right, let's kick a little dirt. Have your moment. All right, what's
Go
the
on and have
question?
a pity
Where do I
party.
need to be? Right, you're allowed to have an adult tantrum for about a second.
Go
I used to
for
have a
it.
client of mine when I first started working with him. He's like, I don't want to talk about emotions. I said, okay. I said, this is going to be a very interesting job with you. I said, how about this one? When you are upset about something, go in your car and scream for a while. He's like, what are you talking about? Because you could see,
That he
like, as
needs
we
to.
take stress on, you could see it in your shoulders, right? And what happens when you
Yes.
start to get stressed and we don't really release it, which you could talk
Trapped.
about it, you become smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Your physiology starts to constrict.
Shrink.
It's horrible. So he would go in the car. I go, make sure your car's in the parking lot on the way back and give a good scream. He needed to release it. So, I mean, I know we're talking about a lot of different things here, but when you're talking about stress and you're not satisfying your life, have a moment with yourself and ask yourself some
Yes.
questions.
Yes. Go
Because
crazy.
I am telling you, even in the darkest moments, we may feel that we don't have a choice. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about the worst. I'm saying is that I am not denying if you were a victim of something or
Come on.
you're in a situation that seems almost unbearable because it
Yes.
is real.
It is real.
All I'm saying is when we're talking about the mind and the mental side is that know one thing, you do have a choice. And it may not be easy, but you have a choice because you know why? In that moment, you have a choice to believe what you want, that there
Mm-hmm.
is hope.
Mm-hmm.
That there alone is a choice. Now, just wishing for hope is obviously a very bad strategy, as we know.
Yes.
You can
Right.
make small incremental steps,
Right.
and all of a sudden, that is the compounding way behavior starts to go.
Exactly. It's a compounding. It's a
Yeah,
process
we
that
know
you
money
have to compound.
compounds, so does behavior. In the beginning,
Exactly.
progress is elusive. Like it looks like
Yes.
nothing.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, you look back and you go, get out of here. I
That's so
did
true.
this,
Yes.
have this happen. I'll tell you how it happened.
Exactly.
You gave yourself a chance to develop. That's
Exactly.
anybody though, right? I mean, your
That's on
story is so
everything.
inspiring.
And that's, I sat here and heard my story again. And I'm like, that's been my journey. Like I overcame that. And like that gave to me fuel for the things that are seeming like a little bit constricted here. Why not work through that? Because there's always that. You're going to be presented. Like, I mean, just think about a life without any of that.
And also
What would be
what's
the
important,
meaning?
yeah, but what you know what's interesting, like you taking that exam and then having a silent seizure. You took the exam. Give yourself a little credit. So this is
Come
you
on.
always hear this, give yourself, a little credit goes a long way. Yeah, that's why cliches
Yes.
are all true. Now, why is
Yeah.
that true? Well, actually, it helps the brain metabolize change. So you don't
Mm.
need like an Arizona Cardinal cheerleading party, right? You don't need a parade.
Well,
All you need is, hey, Evan, good work there.
good
Right? Nothing
work.
magnet,
Yes.
good work. And I never did that to myself. I never gave myself a little bit of credit
Yes.
because
Yes.
I had this hurt and all this anger, but a little, well done. Well done.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I always tell people this is one of my core things. We start the day with intention and we end it with reflection. I don't care if the day was a Picasso or the day was a kindergarten finger painting screw
Come
up show.
on. Come on.
Intention is, remember, intention is, okay, where do I want my mind to be? What do I
Yes.
want my behavior to look like? And you set the intention. At the end of the day, reflection is not
Reflection
what I
is.
did wrong. It's what did I do well today? And where do
Yes.
I need to get better? I don't
Exactly.
care if you ate well and everything else was a shit show. Well, I
Yes.
ate well, but I want to get better at responding if you find yourself reacting.
Yes,
Now,
not
people
honking
say
my
that
horn 500 times at the crazy Arizona drivers. Tomorrow I'll do 4.99 instead.
tomorrow I'm going to do $4.99 with a wave.
Well, I do have those moments, not a lot. Everybody says you're so patient in traffic. And I'm like, yeah, that sometimes I have moments when I'm not. But it's
But
the
that's your
goal
edge
is
also.
to
So it's like, how do I get better? Right. So
right.
this sounds like positive psychology, but it's not. It's a
It's
reframe.
not the same.
It's not,
Yes.
because we know that in the darkness of the brain, it doesn't know the difference of can and
Right.
can't. Right. We know that. Even though I forgot who wrote about this years ago, I'm like, it's another foo-foo stuff. We know the brain doesn't know. It's the power of suggestion. So
Right.
now if we say, this is where I'm going to get better,
Yes.
but watch where your energy goes. So it's
Yes.
almost like it's like you're commanding the brain not to do something. It's just, we know it's futile, and it comes up 3-1 against you anyway. So you might as well say, hey, it's so true.
Yeah.
But I am not going to eat this pizza. All of a sudden, you have 15 Domino's pizzas sitting in your house and go, I wasn't going to have any pizza. As opposed to, I want to have a little more salad tomorrow.
Mhm.
It's a shift. It's a
Right.
reframe.
What are you
So when
going
I
to
hear
do?
clients, he goes, you know what? You know what I'm not going to do? I said, I could care less what you're not going to do. I like to know
I
what
want
you're
to know
going to
what
do.
you're going to do.
It sounds so elementary. It's a
But it's
reframe because it
that's the
changes
reframe
your
and the retrain.
focus. Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. I'm going to use that. Can I use that? Yeah.
Yes,
It's a
absolutely.
reframe and a retrain. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Yes.
It's true.
Because once we reframe it, we've got to keep doing it. And that's the training piece, right?
And that's the repetition.
Yes.
Then now it starts affecting your brain.
Yeah.
Like I've been working out since I'm, I don't know, 13. So
Mhm.
people are like, man, you're so disciplined. I said, I'm not. I go, about what? You work out, you wake up at 4:30 every morning. I go, that's not discipline anymore. It's a part of what I do. So the activation energy for me to do that was big when I was younger. But now
Mhm.
I've done it so many times, it's a part of my circuitry.
It's just how you
So
do.
now the
Yeah.
things I want to get better at, I can use the energy there.
Right.
So when we think about change, it does take energy for change. But the
Yeah.
more reps you put in, the more it starts to solidify into your quote unquote, your operating system that you're creating for yourself.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So when it's in there, you still have to nurture it, but those units of energy now can go on to create, to change, to grow, to expand, to stretch, whatever you want to do. But it's first things first. So that walk in the morning for 10 minutes doesn't sound like much, but first of all, you got to get up earlier. You got to put
Mhm.
shoes on. You got to fight the snooze button, right? It's all new. Give yourself a chance. So don't think a
Yes.
10-minute walk is nothing, because it's a lot. It's not
Yeah.
inconsequential. Because when you look back 10 years as you're doing the Boston Marathon, and people say, how'd you start running? You said, it's so funny. 10 years ago, I decided to get up and walk one morning. And now you're running marathons. By the way, that's a true story. A client
Wow.
of mine. Yeah, and it was 4 years actually. And because they wanted to do 10,000 steps, and he didn't want to lose to this guy. So he started walking more, and now he's doing marathons. He was never a runner. But see what happens? So how does that, your belief system starts to shift
Yeah.
to what is possible.
What's possible? That's it. That's that. I call it the how can I mindset. Very simplistic. I started my journey working with young kids. So that's the how can I mindset. And if you just ask the question, all the possibilities starts to pop into your brain. And that's where the choices come that you talk about when you say, well, how can I get through this? How can I
What
really,
would it
I
look like? Yeah.
yeah, just keep asking, man. All the
And
answers are
start
right in
doing
there.
a little bit.
Yes.
It sounds, what's interesting, and I tell my clients this, and people in general, these are all just words, what we're saying. And it sounds great. You can read this in books, probably. You can read all this stuff. Like, it's all, it's the first self-help book is the same as the
Yeah, we
9,000.
all are
Like,
the same.
it's,
Yeah, we're all
it's all
saying,
said. But once you start to experience it,
oof,
then
that's why we're
everything
lit up.
starts to change. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. It's clients will go to me like months down the road. They go, you know what, Ev? I think you were onto something. I said, I know I'm onto something. I said, but you have to experience it first and allow
Yeah.
yourself to experience it.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
funny when
These
they say that.
invitations. So
Yeah.
here's a question. I want to close out this segment. Do you think most people are operating from clarity or survival mode?
I believe that people are reactionary. So they
Mm,
operate from survival mode.
mm.
However, I also know that anyone can change.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Right. So both of those things can live in duality.
Yes,
And
and
the
they do.
bridge between the two is action, is behavior.
Action, behavior. And
And it
that's the
doesn't have
action.
to be Herculean. Yeah, that's the action.
And it almost really is not most effective when you try to be Herculean. Like
No,
the journey of 1,000 steps. Tells 1,000 miles begins with one step, literally. Like,
and have
if you guys
patience
don't
with
hear anything,
yourself. Yeah.
yes, and
I'm telling you,
celebrate
go
every journey.
walk, right? It's
Yes.
summertime for people. Right. I know Arizona is very hot right now, but
No, but it's so
go
nice
pick up
outside
a
in the
walking
evening.
routine, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Do that for 2 weeks. But they all seem like, well, if I'm walking, I might as well do a couple push-ups.
Right. You feel like you want to do a couple of
You know
push-ups.
what? At night, I'm gonna get some better sleep because I'm looking forward to the walk, right? Then all of a sudden, like 3 weeks ago, like, well, that feels pretty good. I haven't been to the YMCA in a while. You go to YMCA. I only go once. And then all of a sudden, this belief system starts to shift. And what
Mhm.
did we really do? Well, but I didn't do anything, but it's not true. You did something,
You did.
right? And then it's like, I'm not going to put you in a cold shower yet, but also you take a cold shower. What is that? I've heard this cold shower stuff where you start taking a sauna. I've never done a sauna before. Ooh, that
Right.
feels nice. Like I'm at the gym already since I started my walk 3 weeks ago. Now I belong to the gym. I don't know how that happened. Oh, they got a
Right.
sauna. I keep hearing about thermogenesis.
Right.
So you're now this person who never walked, won't go to a gym, and then you've never been in a sauna. Within a month, you're like, how is this happening to me?
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, belief starts to shift.
That's right.
And what did you really do? You got up early and walked.
You got up early and walk. Just one step. And I remember when I started fasting, I read about fasting extensively. And because I can actually see and understand how my body responded when I fast, I started fasting. And I tell everyone, I started just being disciplined about eating at a certain time at night, no later than 7, and not snacking. Like that was hard enough. That was fasting for me. And so when I woke up in the morning, I'm not a big breakfast person. So after a while, I was like, okay, I'm making sure I drink a couple bottles of water before, 10 o'clock. So I'm getting hydrated. And it was just one little step at a time. And then next thing you know, I'm a habitual faster. I'm fasting and my body weight, not just my body weight, like everything, my skin, everything started to
Your
change.
cellular level, everything,
Yes.
your mitochondria. I'm a faster also. But it's amazing. But it
Yeah.
starts with literally
One little change.
addition
at a
by
time.
subtraction. Take something out
Yes.
sometimes, right?
Yes.
So everything doesn't have to be additive. Just take something out of the way,
Out.
right? So when you think about performance, it's a very simple equation. When we think it's performance equals potential minus interferences. So
Yes.
if we're able to take out the things that are hurting us, that are obstacles, well, quite naturally, the water gets a little calmer and your potential starts to go. It's like you're cleaning it up a little bit. So my job as a coach is to minimize interferences
Yeah.
so that people can grow. That's what my
Yeah.
job is.
Yes. So powerful. So disruptors. You are tuned to Mindset Mastery Moment. Today, we are speaking with the incredible Evan Marks. Switch over to part 2 and make sure to share this episode and the next one with someone so they can hop in on the chain of change. The next episode, we're speaking with Evan about the quiet edge and rewiring performance. We'll be right back.